for coming today. My name is Tom Trudy, and I'm here to introduce Osel Tenzin Hita. Osel is certainly somebody you're familiar with. I don't need to give you his background. Thank you. I am currently the Chief Executive Officer of Universal Clear Light, which is Osel's not-for-profit project. It is an umbrella organization, and this kind of covers all of the different projects that Osel has been working on. This includes the Global Tree Initiative, which was the first main project that Osel has really taken forward. It is an advocacy project in order to help promote the planting of trees and dedication of them toward a greater spiritual, economic, and ecological future. The GTI is currently, I believe we have close to 45 million trees planted in 67 communities around the world. Countries. And communities. And being on the land here at Chenrezig really was so inspiring, knowing that this was all clear-cut before Chenrezig Institute was started 50 years ago. So to be in such a lush, beautiful forest is really inspiring. Some of the other projects that fit within the Universal Clear Light are the Habit Alignment Key retreats, which we just finished the third one in New Zealand last week, and we'll be going on to Bendigo to start one Saturday. These retreats are, they're not a religious retreat. They are about looking at our own habits, putting ourselves in positions where we can experience different activities, different talks, workshops with professionals from all different areas of the world, including things like neurobiology, yoga, vegan food, quantum physics, meditation. The teachings of Nalanda, of course, the emptiness, shunyata, exactly, Madhyamaka. So these kind of activities, we find that usually people are comfortable with some of them and uncomfortable with others. So it really helps to shake up some of your patterns and expectations. We'll be going on next year to do more of these retreats, and you can find more information on the internet. Then Maha Space Eco Village is another project under the Universal Clear Light umbrella. This is still in its infancy, but this is a project to help start advocating creating communities that are self-sustainable, that are contributing to the well-being of the people that participate in them without detracting, and to recover the knowledge of our ancestors. Chenrezig Institute here is a very prime example of a place that could possibly host an eco-village of some variety in the future. So may that be so. We just visited the land, looking at the area for the new Gampa, maybe. New Gampa. So with that, I think I'll pass on to Geshe-la.
Good morning, everyone. I'm very, very happy today. And Ramuchi said he listened to my English. Yes. And this is 100% dream. Dream for me. And 44 or 5 hours before, nothing this idea. And before yesterday morning, and Ramesh sent me a message, and we conversation some, and then I said, I'm coming to Bendigo for a meeting. And Ramesh said, no, I'm coming to there, meet there. And then very, very happy. Yeah, this is a blessing. This is Lama Yishi's blessing. He is Lama Yishi. Because Dalai Lama say he is Lama Yishi. I always listen to Dalai Lama, always listen to my guru. Yeah, and this is Ryu and Lama Yishi. And yeah, just this. And thank you so much. And welcome here, Rinpoche. Thank you so much.
You have to be an engineer to put this on. You must be an engineer. You are? No wonder. Doesn't surprise me.
I have one present for you.
Ale.
This very, very special for me. This is my teacher, Kezurum Osel Hita. He, in 3 years and 3 months, retreat to Yamendaga, he used this. I give to you.
Thank you. Actually, this is very interesting because the first time when I arrived in Serra, I was 6 years old. Before I even went to Serra, I remember very clearly, I went to see the abbot, and at that time was Gen Lobsang. And so my first encounter, the first person I met of Serra was Gen Lobsang. And already very strong connection. So Geshe-la is a disciple of Kensho Lobsang setting, and so it's amazing that, you know, the Mala is a big surprise. Thank you so much. Wow. Now I lost everything. So yeah. So I was thinking to start in a certain way. Now it's gone. Poof. So yeah, I remember very well when I was 3 years old. I came to Chenrezig. I have very clear memories. I used to play with pillow fights in the Gompa, right here. Not this one, but the same space. It's much smaller. And yeah, I used to go looking for poisonous frogs because they said, oh, you have to be careful with the poisonous frogs. So the first thing I did was I wanted to find the poisonous frogs. Just look at them, you know, and just see, wow, that's very dangerous. You know, but at least you look, you know. That's a tendency, you know, for children. You know, we say, be careful, and that's the first thing you do, right? When I arrived in Serra the first time, they said, don't drink the tap water. So the first thing I did when I arrived to the house was go straight to the bathroom, drink the tap water. So, you know, there's a saying that says, good decisions come from experience, right? And experience comes from bad choices. In other words, making mistakes. And Lama Yeshe used to say, if you don't make mistakes, you're not doing anything. The thing is, if you repeat the same mistakes again and again, then that's something maybe you can change. But making mistakes is not a bad thing, you know, because that's how we really learn. So, you know, it's good to have a free mind and not to be too heavy on yourself. You know, because sometimes we really think we have to be in a certain way, but every person is different, you know, everybody has a different perspective, so we can't really expect everybody to see the world like we do, or how some of the great practitioners see it, you know. So we have to give us some slack, but not too much, right? Because otherwise if you push too much, then it's not so productive. There's a saying that says less is more and more is less. There's a reason that saying exists. You know, also in the workplace, it's already shown, there's statistics where they actually make less hours of work. So instead of 8 or 9 or 10 or 12 hours, they make it 5 or 6. And the productivity and the result is much bigger. I think Calvin would agree, right? You know about this. So really, you know, it's not about how much time you spend on something, it's about the quality, you know, that you'd spend on something. So instead of forcing yourself to do 1 hour meditation, if you can do 5-minute meditation, at least it can be much more productive. It's not about forcing yourself or having to control or subdue your mind or destroy the, what do you call it? The destructive emotions or whatever. It's not about that, you know. It's really, you know, when they say, when the text says renunciation, you know, like, oh no, now I have to renounce coffee. Oh, my favorite thing. Oh, you know, it's not about that. It's about when you drink the coffee to understand the reality of the coffee and not to have this grasping mind of attachment. Because in life, everything is changing, right? Life is movement, you know, and we walk like we're immortal. We really think we're immortal, don't we think? You know, we walk like we're immortal. We really think we're immortal. We act like we're immortal, right? And then when suddenly time passes and our body changes or things change, and suddenly we act like so surprised. So I think it's important to be aware of those aspects, you know, especially to check your mind, you know. Because the mind plays tricks on you a lot. It can be your worst enemy, just like your mind can be your best friend. You know, so if you really want to, like Dharma in a nutshell, in a sentence, it would be more like something like, save yourself from yourself. Does that make sense? It's nobody else's responsibility but yourself. You know? So it's very easy to put responsibility on others. It's very easy to judge others and say, oh, this person did this, said that, blah, 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 blah. You know why? Because that means that you're deflecting responsibility from yourself. You don't have to focus or challenge yourself. You know? You don't have to confront the inner demons. Oh no, me, I don't have demons. Right? That's how we think. Oh, the demons are all outside. Demons is not literally demons, monsters. It's an example of destructive emotions that we may have inside. You know, for example, anger. What happens with anger? You know, maybe somebody else makes a mistake, and then we punish ourselves. We punish our body from somebody else's mistake. You know, and then we get angry. Why do we get angry? Because it's a way of justifying that we are right. So our anger is imposing that belief of being right. Right? But actually, what is the reality? That we think we have a big ego that's non-existent. And we give so much attention, we feel it so much, you know. And at the end of our day, before, you know, at time of death, and we're like, oh, what a big mistake. I spent so much time, energy, space, and attention on something that doesn't even exist. It's crazy, you know. That's why, you know, people say, oh, society is crazy. Anyways, so really, you know, you don't want to have to do that, you know, because that's the way we justify things. You know, I'm right. You know what I mean? But maybe the other person's right too. You know, maybe we have to put ourselves in the other person's shoes as well. You know, because there's different perspectives. It's all about perspective, really. You know, so if you keep your me concept, then anybody that says something bad, that, you know, insult or whatever, instead of seeing the other person suffering, we only see our ego, me. Oh, he said this to me. And then we react. And then the snowball becomes bigger and bigger. The energetic snowball becomes bigger and bigger. We pass it back and forth, back and forth. This can happen a lot in the workplace. You know, so really it's about being conscious. How's the sound? The sound is okay? Yeah, sorry, I'm moving a lot. So in the workplace, sometimes it happens, you know, like maybe somebody's suffering because they have a lot of conflict, inner conflict. Where does the inner conflict come from? It's when we are doing something that is not really intuitively the path that we want to follow. But we follow because we want to be accepted. There's a lot of pressure from society, you know, in general. So we sell that authenticity in order to be accepted, without realizing that if we are authentic, we'll be accepted, because that's what society is looking for, authentic people, right? But we have this fear, of not being accepted. You know where that comes from? That comes from our genetics. You know, we've been living in tribes for maybe thousands of years, maybe even 100,000 years. I don't know. We're not aware of the history of humanity very much. So it's in our genetics, you know, we all have a function within the tribe. Right, so we are accepted within the tribe. We want to be recognized. That's really, this thing about social media, I'm not going to give any names, I don't want to do publicity. But in social media, when the phone goes ping, you know, the notification, you know, we get the dopamine, the oxytocin, and the what else? And the serotonin. All these are things jumping around in our brain, chemicals. And then we like get addicted to that. But really, it's not about the phone or the screen or any of that. It's about wanting the desire of being recognized and accepted and being part and having function within a group, a community. And what's happening in the 21st century in the past 100 years? People are becoming very isolated. You know, we're stuck in the 6 walls, right? Roof, floor, the 4 walls. Even like if you go to a city, sometimes people share the same wall for 20 years, they still don't know the name of the neighbor. You go to a village, people know each other's names 3-4 kilometers distance from village to village. So even the distance, they're more connected than in the city where there's everybody's very close to each other. So there's many aspects like that that create inner conflict, right? So really, it's good to be aware of that, because now the phone is a new thing actually, and we don't really know the result or the consequences of that. So for example, in the hack retreats, the first thing we do is you have to give in your phone. It's all about habit alignment, you know, it's the key of habit alignment. If we change your perspective, change your attitude, change your habits, change your life. Really, that's Dharma. Dharma is talking about that, you know. Get over it. You know, really, you know, it's like, come on, you know, you just really have to let go a little bit. Because otherwise, you don't even live your own life, you live everybody else's life. You know, if you give so much attention to what people think, what people say, you know, if you want to focus on something, don't focus on your reputation. It's not under your control. You know, it comes and goes, people sometimes they like you, sometimes they don't like you, depending on their state of mind. And then we're like affected, oh me, what did I do? It's not about you, you're not the center of the universe. Even though it may look like it, because you're stuck in the body temporarily. But the thing is, I forgot, the string of thoughts disappeared. Where was I? So the phone, the habits. So really, you know, yeah, but after that something. You're not listening. No, I'm joking. So, what? Yeah, you know, listen, before that. What was it before that? The what? Before that? What? Know yourself. Get over yourself. Yeah, so, really, if you're thinking, oh, me all the time, then really your suffering becomes huge. This is a little bit the difference between the Oriental culture and the Western culture. There's a collective versus an individualistic concept of me. So in the East culture now it's changing a lot because of capitalism. But originally collectivism, the collective is the most important aspect. So also, I mean, it's an extreme. So extremes are not really healthy actually. You have to find a middle way. So for example, so people that your problems are not so important, right? Because the collective harmony is more important. But in the West, it's all about me, the individual, you know. So it's all my problems. Everybody has to listen to my problems. If I'm down, everybody has to be down, you know. I mean, it's not like that always, but sometimes it does happen, right? You know, when somebody's not doing very well, how are you? Oh, I'm not doing well. And then you bring down the other person, right? So instead, if you're not doing well, but you want to give the best of yourself, then when somebody comes to say, how are you? You're like, I'm good. Thank you, you know, and you give a smile, then what happens? The other person is going to react to that. So then they're also going to give you a smile, oh, that's great. And then your problems became smaller. Why? Because your attitude, your perspective changed. Because we are a collective, you know, we work as a tribe, you know, and now what's happening, we're becoming very disconnected, more and more. Even sometimes, you know, so if we talk about, for example, taking refuge, you know, it's a different concept, of course. We take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and the Guru, like that, in the practice, but sometimes we even get lost in that. And then 20, 30 years pass by and you're like, oh, why don't I have realizations? Then you have the inner conflict again is happening, right? So, refuge is very easy to get confused, you know. Some people take refuge in alcohol, others take refuge in cars, some idealization of the perfect family or perfect job. Idealization is very dangerous. You know? Projection, you project. We really think the object that we're perceiving is as we see it. But first it has to be interpreted by the eye. The eye actually sees it upside down. Then the brain has to put it back in its place. So 2 interpretations, and then on top of that our mind projects so many things on top. Based on memory, based on your childhood. And all these aspects. So then of course, and then we get so attached to this concept. You know, what are we most attached to? Anybody? What are we most attached to?
Ourselves.
What else? Huh? What else?
Reputation.
What else?
Circumstance.
Our ideas. We are most attached to our ideas. And this is the biggest danger. Because you know Plato? He's a famous guy. Back in the days. You know what he used to say? He said, I don't know anything. Socrates also was copying him. He said, I know that I don't know anything. And the wisest man is the one who knows that he doesn't know anything. And then somebody went to Plato, he said, and how do you know this? Who told you? And he said, oh, my wife told me. His wife said, you don't know anything. I'm joking. But the thing is, really, we're learning constantly. The day we think we know, we don't know anything. Because nobody knows more than another person. You know different, that's it. It's like, oh, you have so much knowledge, I have so little knowledge. No, you know different, that's it. Because your perspective is different. We are based on memory. Right? So even if you have Alzheimer's, you can't even open a door. I've seen that. You just stand in front of the door, standing, until somebody opens for them. They don't know what the door is or how to open. So really, memory is really our instinct of survival, is our tool of survival is memory. But then what happens is we project based on memory. But it's not, we're always changing, no? Changing. Constantly. And then we get so frustrated. What happens when you take a group photo? Now maybe after the talk we can do group photo. And when you see the group photo, what's the first thing you look at? Yourself. And then what's the first thought you have? Oh, I'm not so beautiful, right? But then 10 years later, you see this exactly same photo. And what do you do first? Look at yourself. And what do you think? But the photo is the same, right? So what changed? Your perspective, your attitude. So that's a very clear example of how the mind is changing constantly. But then we are so much attachment. That's where all the problems, conflict comes from. You know, because we're going counterclockwise of nature, or we're going counter-current of the river. Because we get so attached to this concept. It's just a concept. You know, the mind, the thoughts are like clouds. You know, if you look at it, it looks so real, so solid, so beautiful. Oh, I could jump in the clouds, lie on the clouds, right? But then when you go to grab it, what happens? There's nothing to grab. It just comes and goes. So imagine if our whole life is based on clouds. Our whole life is based on that, you know? And then of course, at the end, and then we don't understand what's happening, you know? There's no solidity. It's not realistic. Idealization is not realistic. I can tell you about that. People always projected on me since I was a child. So I had a lot of work to do, you know, to understand that, really the important aspect is my character, not the reputation. Who cares about the reputation? Right? I mean, obviously the appearance does have some importance. Because you don't want to make people sad, you don't want to make people disturbed, you don't want to make people, have destructive emotions. So that's very important. So in that aspect, of course, appearances can have some importance. But really you want to focus on your character. And if you focus on your reputation, you won't live your life. You live other people's lives. And then time will pass and you'll be like, oh, I missed something. So what is it that we have to offer? What is the most important things we have? Our time, our space, our energy, and our focus, our attention, right? So those are the four things. Maybe there are more things right now that doesn't come to mind. If you think about one extra thing, please welcome. What? Oh. So those four things are really what we have to offer. So we sell it for money, right? But then with the money we can't buy it back. So this is very important to be aware of these small aspects. I mean, not small, actually it's quite big. Because we work to live, we don't live to work. You know, sometimes the education system educates us to work, but then it's up to us and our parents to teach us how to live. And sometimes our parents don't know about that because they haven't been taught about that. And so we have to learn through all many mistakes or situations, and then after sometimes it's hard to come back from that, because our body, based on our mind, our body can deteriorate a lot. There's this thing I read somewhere about scientific approach of understanding about the skin cancer, because I think New Zealand, Australia, there's a lot of, there's no protection, UV protection, right, the ozone layer. So they did a test, and so if you're eating the American diet, which is not very healthy, there's a high percentage, when you're exposed to the UV rays of sunlight, there's a high percentage of getting skin cancer. But then people who have actually healthy diet, plant-based diet, healthy, organic, whatever, they're exposed to the same exposure at the same time of UV rays, and they don't get skin cancer. So it's not really about the UV, it's about your nutrition, how you live, So also the mind plays a huge role. Actually, the main role is the mind, right? So in this room, the only thing, actually, everything's been manipulated by the mind, right? But even the flowers, the way they've been arranged, it's the mind working behind. But everything started with a thought. So the thoughts are really powerful. Really powerful. So you really have to be careful about your thoughts. The thoughts, really how your life is really, it's a result of your thoughts in a way. You're creating your own reality through your attitude and your perspective. Your thoughts are a result of that. So as an example, for example, if I have my attitude, I have a negative attitude, right? And my perspective, I have a negative perspective. My thoughts, the result of that is going to be negative. So that's, what am I feeding? I'm feeding the negativity. So then what happens? Negativity becomes big. It becomes a big kind of, what do you call it? What? It's an important part of our life, let's say. But if we feed the positive aspect, then that's what's going to happen, right? That's what's going to prevail in our life. So really, I think one of the issues is we overvalue negativity much more than positivity. I have a friend right there, Kike. As a child, his parents always gave him so much freedom, always so kind. I told him, one time we had a conversation, what is the memory you remember the most of your childhood from your parents? And he said, the one time my mother hit me. One time, is that right? That's the memory that he remembers the most. One time. So we are wired that way. We are wired to really give so much importance to negativity. But that's our program. But we can reprogram anytime you want. Like that. That's what Dharma is telling you. That's what the great Pandits of Nalanda and all the masters of Tibet, and even before that, the knowledge is available today for us. Very easy. You just press a button, you can lie down, eat some biscuits, drink some tea. Back in the days at the time of the Buddha, you had to maybe walk 2-3 months. You didn't know what would happen. You could get sick, you could get lost. You don't have GPS. Even the dolphins or the eagles, they have GPS, based on the electromagnetic fields of Earth. We humans, we think we're so intelligent. Wow, we're so superior. We can't even go from here to there without GPS. Our ancestors were highly intelligent. If they were not, we wouldn't be here. We really wouldn't be here. So we have to be aware of that aspect. Even the animals are very intelligent. So back at the time of the Buddha, at that time humans were much more intelligent than us. They need a phone. I'm joking. We are also intelligent, so don't lose hope. You can recover that intelligence. So people had to walk sometimes 2 months, 3 months. Maybe you would get lost, you would walk for 2 weeks wrong direction. And then suddenly people were speaking a language and you know, oh, this is not the correct language, it's the wrong direction. So, I mean, you couldn't even speak the language, so you couldn't ask for directions. They don't know where you're going. You're going to maybe a certain place where Buddha was going to give teachings. Right? And then you don't know. So, I mean, there's many things like that. And then you can get dacoits who may rob you and kill you. Maybe like Angulimala, you know, he would just kill you just for your little finger, for his rosary. You know the story of Angulimala, right? 1,000, he made a garland, a mala like this, but with 1,000 little fingers. He had 999 fingers. Or was it 10,000? 1,000? So, and then he had 999 fingers, and the last finger was the Buddha. You know, so he, oh, the last finger for my 1,000 finger mala. So he was running, and Buddha was just walking normally. And he couldn't reach the Buddha, couldn't reach. And then finally he gave up. And the moment he gave up, then the Buddha stopped. And then he said, please, please help me too. So then, the story of Angulimala. Anyways, so maybe Angulimala killed you for your little finger while you're going to the teachings. Who knows, right? So, so many things could happen at that time. And then when you reach the place where Buddha was giving teachings, what happened? So many people, you can't even hear what Buddha is talking about. You can't hear. There's no microphone or speakers there at that time, right? So then what do you have to do? You have to wait, and then you have to listen to the interpretation of the interpretation of the interpretation of the interpretation of such and such and such coming. Already it's being distorted, already it's being changed based on the perspective. Already the day one, already. The lineage is changing, you could say. People get so attached to the concept of the lineage, so attached to the concept of tradition. So already, so many things change. You know, Buddha was teaching about Vipassana. And then of course, when in the Nalanda teachings, they had to take it to Tibet. The Sanskrit, the Pali, they didn't have a language to translate to Tibetan. So they had to create a language from scratch in Tibetan, the sacred Tibetan, right? So already, you know, in the translation, so many things are changing because life is changing. And so of course, one of the things that we're so lucky about is the fact that Lama Subharamanje and His Holiness Dalai Lama, you know, the lineage, the tradition, the roots are so pure. And so this is one of the things that we're so lucky. You know, we have the essence, the nectar, the pure, you know, aspect. So really, even if like we branch out, that doesn't get distorted because that's already there, you know. So in that aspect, it's very good. But of course, if you think about it, Buddha taught 80,000 teachings, right? So 80,000 teachings. Why? Because everybody is different. You know, if the doctor gives the same medicine to everybody, then, you know, maybe one person is cured, everybody else gets sick. You know, this is very interesting when you study Ayurveda, you know, the origin of medicine. Kike is a big expert on that. So, you know, you understand, you know, you have to see, the doctor has to understand the body, the metabolism of the body. Each person has different metabolism, so, you know, you have to apply the medicine according to the person. And some people maybe need medicine, some people need to eradicate the cause of that sickness. So anyways, also, you know, Western medicine can save your life, you know, so there's many different circumstances. You really have to, you can't generalize everything all the time. It's very easy to generalize, you know. Say, oh, black and white. Everything is gray. Everything has a good side and a bad side. So, you know, it's good to filter that and focus on the positive side. Also, the negative side is good to learn, to avoid, to know what you want and what you don't want. What you want to give and what you don't want to receive. There's this concept in Buddha, in the Dharma, that's all sentient beings, bodhicitta, all mother sentient beings, and then finally you forget about yourself, right? So if I ask you, think about 3 people that you love. Think fast. Yeah, 3 people that you love. Okay, did you include yourself? So this is a big problem. You see, this is one of the issues. You know, we just give, and then we don't have nothing to give. Why? Because we're not taking care of ourselves. So, if, for example, it's very easy to say, oh, I lost patience with this person because this person is not a nice person. Or he's aggressive, or this, he's that, blah, 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 blah. Very easy to say that, right? But really, who are you losing patience with? With yourself. If you don't have patience with yourself, you won't have patience with anybody. It's very easy to blame others. Why? Because you're deflecting responsibility. And you have to take responsibility for your life because you're the only one in charge. You're the only one responsible. The same applies to, for example, respect. If you don't respect yourself, then you won't respect others. And that you can apply in many different aspects. So really the work is inside of yourself, you know. And the true guru, the inner guru, is the one that you have to focus on first. You can have 100,000 gurus outside, but if you don't want to learn, if you don't identify, if you don't have a kind of identification, or you relate to that, if you don't relate to that, you don't have that desire of wanting to understand or to learn, nobody can come and teach you. They can't put a stick down your throat and be like the text, you know, like, here you have to hit you very hard with the text on the head. Poof, wow, now I understood everything. It doesn't happen. I wish. Or in the Matrix, you know, they put this thing in your head. Zzz, oh, now I know Kung Fu. Doesn't work that way, right? It would be very easy, right? But sometimes the easy path is not really very fulfilling. You know, sometimes the harder it is, more fulfilling it is. Doesn't mean everything has to be hard. But there's a very interesting saying that when you become a diamond, then you understand why life had to pressure you so much. You know, because really the diamond is inside, we just have to bring it outside. You know, it's about remembering. It's about, you know, recovering what we already have. Everything is, we already have everything. It's already there. Really. And this time I'm not joking now. It's already there. So, you know, the more we search outside, what happens? The further away we are from inside. And the more we search inside, the easier it is to be connected with everything outside. So really, if you have compassion, if you have humility, if you have love, all these very important values, if you have them inside, then all that is coming outside also. This is what Dharma is talking about. For some people, they really enjoy the intellectual aspect. They really like to rack your brains. You say rack? Yep. Not wreck, rack. But people really like to rack their brains. Some people, not everybody. Some people like simple, easy, practical, so you can apply in everyday life, in you know, your workplace. Some people like to go to the caves and meditate. They have that kind of patience. Other people, they prefer to have you know, what's called householder life. For me, I really think relationships is one of the most effective way to evolve. Only if you have the right attitude and perspective. You know, my grandfather is a very wise man. He used to always say, the most important thing, harmony. And he also used to say, if one doesn't want to argue, two can't argue. If one doesn't want to fight, two can't fight. You know, so when my grandmother was quite aggressive. I wouldn't say negative, but she was a bit of a pessimist. Until she got Alzheimer's, and then she got so sweet. She was such a sweet lady. But she would, oh my God, wow. Nobody could walk into the kitchen. You would get things thrown at you sometimes. Even if you're trying to help, your intention is trying to help. This is a thing, you know, a very important aspect. Many times, for example, we have an intention, right? The intention of helping, or positive intention. But maybe the intention is not pure. We expect the person to be grateful. And then, when the person is not grateful, what happens? That intention changes, right? So, okay, I'll tell you a very interesting story, but I have to come back to that, okay? So please remind me. Before that, right? So, there's a story about, because I don't have a paper to write, so normally, to remember, I have to come back, I have to write down. So there's a story about a man, he's in the forest, and then there's a snake on a tree, and the snake falls from the tree into a fire, there's a fire. And exactly the man is walking by the fire, so he sees the snake, and he immediately goes to grab the snake and save it with his hands, without thinking. And then as he grabs the snake to save it, the snake bites him. And then there's another man walking, or woman, walking, coming down the seas. And then the second time, the first man takes a stick, saves the snake a second time. And the snake goes. And then the second man comes down and he talks to the first man and says, why did you save the snake? You know, the snake bit you. Let it burn. He bit you, you know, just let it burn. You know, why are you trying to save it a second time? So the first man, he answers, he said, the instinct of the snake is to bite. And my instinct is to save it. And I won't allow the instinct of the snake to change my instinct. So what that does mean, it's very easy to say, oh, because somebody did this or did that, then I'm also going to, you know. So that's why the intention is very important, to really understand the pure intention. Because otherwise you get the inner conflict. You know, like for example, a very clear example when you live with people in an apartment, especially students. Right? Maybe there's one person who's very eager to keep the house clean. So she or he's washing the dishes every day. And then by the fourth day realizes that people are not participating the same way. And then leaves the dishes, and then the dishes start accumulating, right? And then they get the loom, you know, the loom, the winds, they call it. You know, the frustration, the anger. I call it the inner conflict. So, and then what happens? So then they get, oh, you know, And then of course, nobody told them, nobody in the apartment said, oh, you have to wash the dishes. They said, oh, I want to wash the dishes. That was the intention, pure intention coming at the beginning, right? But then inside the intention is something else mixed, which is a, what? What? An expectation, right? So you have an expectation, you're already conditioned. And of course the attachment of that condition. So then gets distorted the intention, and then what happens? Fights are starting to happen, you know? Oh, I never told you to wash dishes. And then what happens? You get affected, your ego is touched. You know, comes out. But really, if you check the intention, whatever the other person does or says is not going to affect you. Because if you see the intention is a good one, even though afterwards maybe it gets distorted. You know, my son, he taught me a really good lesson when he was 3 years old. Because when I was a child already I had 18 months old, already I had big responsibilities. I was working as a brand, right? Generating money for FPMT. 18 months old. So, I wouldn't recommend it, but it has helped me to become who I am, so I'm happy because I have a function which is to help people. I don't know how yet, but I think maybe slowly, you know, if I help myself and I learn, then I can maybe share a little bit of that. So anyway, so I have a little bit of, you know, for me it's a big issue, you know, with my son, you know, for him not to have that aspect of childhood, you know, for him to be a free kid. And so I used to always tell him, you know, oh, you know, nobody expects anything from you. You're so lucky, you're so lucky. Nobody's projecting anything. You don't have responsibilities, you're free. Nobody expects anything from you. And he'd be like, oh, thank you, Dad, thank you, Dad. But I would keep going, you know, like not day after day, but maybe after 1 week, you know, I'd be like again, oh, by the way, you're a really lucky child. Nobody expects anything from you. One day he looked at me in the eyes and he said, Dad, shut up. And then I was like, I said, why you said so? I started to think. I really racked my brains, you know. And then I understood. I understood everything. I understood that I was expecting him to be grateful for not expecting anything. So actually I was making exactly the same mistake people did with me when I was a child. Same mistake. And I thought, and I believed that I got so attached to my idea, oh, you have to be grateful because I don't expect. But actually I was expecting something. I was expecting him to be grateful. So he really helped me to understand that aspect. So after since then, you know, I don't say it anymore. Yeah, I think we really have so much to learn from children. You know, we really think the grown-ups. When I was a child, I used to say, I never want to be a grown-up. It's so problematic. Oh my God. I used to pray, please let me never become like a grown-up mentality. I used to pray. So I think in some way, part of my mentality is still, I have the child as a child. Because I have the memories of my child. I remember perfectly well when I was here. I was 3 years old. Even some of the conversations. So there was a monk, he was running, we were rushing, I think, to the airport or something like that, and he was rushing, I don't know, maybe somebody can remember. And then the monk said, give me 2 seconds while he was running, and then somebody else said, 1, 2. And I was was like, wow, these adults are so strange. Why would he say 2 seconds if it's completely unrealistic? So, I always used to doubt the adults, whatever. That's why for me, I always took everything with a pinch of salt. Because I used to say, if you're going to take advice from somebody, make sure you want to be like that person in the future. Why would you take advice from somebody who you don't want to be like in the future? It doesn't make any sense, at least for me, I only take advice from people I admire and I say, okay, that's it, I want to be like that. Otherwise, why would you take advice from somebody who doesn't inspire you, I tell you, people are always giving advice, even when you don't ask. Everybody has an opinion, right? So, yeah, as a child, the adults were the way they thought, I thought was very unpractical and inconvenient. They would complicate their lives so much. When you're a child, life is simple and you're always happy. In the monastery, they used to talk about samsara. I didn't understand what is adults talking about. Oh, samsara, liberation from samsara. I think, it's like, life is really simple, Then of course in the monastery I studied a lot of dharma and philosophy. So I had the tools, but I didn't know how to use them. And then when I was dropped into samsara, straight from the monastery to Ibiza, from one extreme to the other extreme. My parents are hippies in Ibiza. Ibiza is like the party capital of the world. And then so my mother, she directly took me to a nudist beach. Oh, I was 16. Oh, my son, now you're going to see how the hippies live. In the monastery, the women is very restricted and they're all covered from here, the ankles covered, the neck covered, from a distance, so I didn't really understand the women's anatomy. So, big shock. Really, it took me, I think maybe almost a month or more to swim naked in the sea. So I would mentalize myself, okay, today is the day I'm going to jump naked. So actually the people, because in Ibiza, in Beni Ras, there's a nudist part, so the normal people, they always go every day, most of the people, the same people going every day. So already they knew me, the guy with the underwear. Oh my God, it's so difficult for me to break free of this concept of me, what people would think, this shame. Because we're programmed that way, we have this, we really believe it, we get so attached to that idea, but it's not even our idea actually. It's just a position of the society, that really, because we have this strong feeling of the tribe of wanting to belong, to be accepted. So then we already programmed, if I'm naked, then you have this feeling of like shame, this taboo kind of thing, So it took me like at least a month. So every day I'll be like, okay, today's the day I'm gonna jump in. Today's the day I'm gonna jump in, and I couldn't jump in. And then my friends were like already, completely intimidated. They say, "Wutu shas, wutu." They're like fed up with me completely. They're, oh my God, this guy, not again, this guy coming with his, so disrespectful, Everybody's naked and I'm like wearing my underwear, like just frozen. I'll just be looking at the water for like an hour. Just really, like an athlete about to run a marathon, It's one of the hardest things I did in my life. And then one day I was like, okay, it doesn't matter, I'm not gonna care. There's no ego. I think I jump into the sea and then everybody applauding. And I tell you, I have one of the most important epiphanies in my life. So I closed my eyes and I was floating. And I had the strong memory of when I was a fetus in my mother's womb. Suddenly, flashback. And that's when I said, oh, now I understand why Lama Yeshe wanted to be a hippie. The word hippie comes from, I think, a journalist. It was hipper. It means somebody who knows how to move their hips. That's the original meaning of the name hippie. So if you're a hippie and you don't know how to move your hips, it's a big problem. And really, hippie is not about how you dress. It's about your lifestyle, alternative lifestyle. I know many hippies in Ibiza who live still the same way they used to live 40 years ago. It's very inspiring, They use solar energy. They have their well. The bathroom is a maze of cacti. You say, right? Cacti, plural. Cacti. So they dig. They do the thing, and then they cover it up. Like they're very completely in tune with the nature. Because really, what is the problem with the humanity? The problem with the collective mentality of humanity is that we want to force nature to adapt to us instead of us adapting to nature. If you look at the indigenous people, the Aborigines, they're so wise. They're really the natives. The animals and we're not really the natives. And then on top of that, we force nature to adapt to us, and on top of that, we're unhappy. On top of that, we're complaining. On top of that, we're suffering. On top of that, and it's never enough. Look at fossil fuel. Humanity is completely addicted to fossil fuel. We don't even know what to do anymore because this addiction is so strong that we can't stop. Humanity can't stop, using fossil fuel. I think Calvin knows a little bit of that. He's a renewable energy expert. So if you think about fossil fuel, is what? It's all these forests and animals that got stuck underneath. So it's death, right? So you're burning death, and then the fumes are creating cancer and all these things. So really, the energy coming from death is not so convenient, maybe cheap. But actually, renewable energy is life, right? So you use renewable energy, and it's healthy. It's life. You're not getting sick from that. So really, we have to start to take power back. The individual. There's many different aspects where we give our power away. One of them is idealization. Idealization is basically setting yourself up for disappointment. Because whatever you idealize, whatever you project, is never going to be that way. Ever. So make up your mind. Be realistic. The past exists in the present, and the future also exists in the present. So be present. That's why they call it a gift, right? It's a present. So really, we waste so much time thinking about the past and the future when everything is here right now. And it's never too late, but it's never too early either. So anyway, oh yeah. Thank you. So my grandfather was a very, very wise person. Who is it? Is Bob here? We had the conversation today. Bob. Yeah, Bob. How are you?
Okay.
Yeah. So he was saying, because I have a big body, I'm going to live a shorter life. That's his theory. I mean, if you have the mentality, whatever size body you have doesn't matter, right? Because your mind, the body follows the mind. I mean, neuroscience is talking about it, quantum physics, even Dharma, already 2,500 years ago, already they discovered that. The scientists are like, we discovered that. I mean, come on. Before, without all the machines, without all the science, already they discovered that. Just by meditating, So, the science of the mind is actually quite more advanced. But the interesting thing is that now it's coming together, it's crossing. So anyways, the conversation came because I said my grandfather, he was 96. And he was living by himself and enjoying life, going for walks every day. And he was still working. He would go to the workplace and, be there, And actually, he was pretty productive. 96, living alone. Completely independent. Very, very happy person. Very easygoing, And also, that going back to my grandmother, thank you. So anyway, that's because his theory, Bob's theory is like, my grandfather, because he's a small Mediterranean guy, small, so that's why he lives long, I said, no, that's because of the mentality, the attitude and the perspective. You create your reality. So anyways, going back to my grandmother was quite wrathful, so I wouldn't say toxic, but she had quite a aggressive attitude. She's so kind-hearted, but you had to. I mean, of course, if you don't have the compassion, it's very hard to see the person because you only see yourself, me. And then what happens? You can't really help anybody. You're harming yourself. Not only that, but you're taking other people's problems and mistakes and making it your own, and then carrying that big backpack on your back. I can't forgive them. what they did is unforgivable. And then you carry their problem. Is that logical? Does that make sense? No, right? But we do it all the time. So remember to forgive yourself so you can forgive everybody. So going back to my grandmother, it was so funny. The only person who could manage my grandmother was my grandfather. They had, I think, 70 years of marriage. So my grandmother would be like shouting, "Wah!" And the moment she came close to my grandmother, there's my grandfather, was so kind, so loving, so patient, so humble. Just completely, my grandma, nobody could do that, only my grandfather. And for me, when I saw that dynamic, I was like, wow. For me, my grandfather was one of my teachers. Really, he taught me a lot, by example. He wouldn't talk much. But when he spoke, he was very wise. He would talk very wise. A lot of wisdom he had. He used to always say, in here I have 10 or 20 encyclopedias. He would do like that, and put his hand like that. So anyway, so this is about, so it's not really about, okay, doesn't matter. Let me take a mental break. So anybody has any subjects you want me to talk about? Any ideas or questions? This is like a workshop. Yes?
Can you speak a little bit about spiritual narcissism?
About what?
Spiritual narcissism?
Oh, wow. Yeah, very good, very good. This is very good. I love to talk about that. But actually I give it a different name. I call it bypassing. You know bypass? When they do bypass? It's the same concept. Indian coffee. Thank you. Yeah, some habits are hard to break. I like Indian coffee. It's nice and sweet. Because I'm too salty already. No, in Spanish when they say you have charisma, they say, oh, you're salty. In English, it doesn't make sense. So yes, spiritual narcissism. I think this is great. I think it's very important to touch base on that, actually. Because that really starts from the bypassing aspect. Bypass. So we already touched a little bit that about taking refuge, right? So I didn't follow up on that. So really, what happens is you take refuge in something, on an idealization, right? So you idolize the guru in such a way that you get so attached. And what you're attached to is not even the guru, it's your projection, your idea, your idealization of the guru. Right, so there's many different extremes with that. One extreme is, one day the guru smiles at you, the next day the guru doesn't smile to you, then you're like, oh, what did I do? Me, oh, the guru, blah, 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 blah. Maybe the guru doesn't matter. You're not the center of the universe. There's no need to give so much importance to these things because you're putting so much responsibility on one person. But actually it's your responsibility, it's not his responsibility. It's very easy to blame the guru for everything. Or to say, oh, the guru saved me, now the guru passed away, oh, I'm lost. All these aspects, So all this, where does it start from? It starts from not wanting to confront yourself. So basically you're focusing outside in order not to really do the actual work inside. So many people, it's happened a lot. So that's that's where the spiritual narcissism comes out. Oh, me, I'm old student. Oh, me, I took many initiations. Oh, I've done 3-year retreat. Oh, I've this and that, and suddenly I'm superior because I'm a good person, because I'm Buddhist. Just giving yourself a label does not make you a good person. It's the attitude and the relationship you have with yourself and how you apply that to others. That's really the key. And that's why spiritual narcissism happens very easily when people have that kind of attitude. All pointing each other, judging each other. The true friend is a person who gives you constructive criticism in the face and talks really good about you behind your back. And not only that, but when you criticize somebody, for example, if somebody comes to me and is criticizing somebody else, what is the first thing I'm going to think? Oh, the moment I'm not there, he's probably going to be criticizing me. So already, you know, the trust, like the trust you have on that person already starts to change a little bit. Because, I mean, it's normal. I'm not enlightened. I don't have no realizations, you know. So, of course, my mind works that way, you know. But the thing is, you have to check, you have to watch, you have to observe. So the moment you observe, already 50% is done. When you go to, so like Alcoholics Anonymous, right? As an example. If you say, we're all Samsara Anonymous, SA, right? So what is the first thing they say? They say 50% is recognizing you have an addiction. Why? Because once you recognize, the mind, everything follows up on that. So it really is about recognizing your mistakes, how your mind pattern works, you know, your programming. But instead of doing that, you're focusing on others. Oh, this person that, oh, that person that, oh, he's dressing like that, oh, he said that. And this is our mechanism to the protection of the ego. He creates, or he, she, whatever it is, creates this mechanism, self-protection. But the ego doesn't really exist, you know. It's just a concept of the ego. We get so attached to that. So the spiritual narcissism comes from that kind of attachment, you know, because really, you know, why do we get so attached to the guru? You know, because we don't want to take responsibility, that's why. And then of course, then we get so proud, oh, I'm very close to the guru. Oh, the guru, you know, likes me, you know, like, oh, I met the guru in 1972. It's like a competition. Who met the guru first? It's not funny, actually. You know, it's not about that. It's about your interior work. It's not about the robes you wear. You know, the robes is really the reason for the robes is for people to have the mind to be inspired and also to understand that you have vows. You know, but the real robes is inside. You know, the attitude is really truly inside. I think Geshe-la agrees with me. Now I lost everything. You see, the me is coming, oh, Geshe-la is doing like that, so then I'm happy on me, oh, he agrees with me, then everything disappears. You know, it's a work, every day we have to work, you know, so. I believe, you know, in the text, really, this concept of gratitude meditation doesn't really exist very much. There's not much talk about gratitude in the text, in general. Very, very, not so common, let's say. Correct? Yeah. So, that's why for me, I think gratitude is really, really, really important aspect. You know, because really gratitude is a base for many good things in life. Also, in quantum physics, neuroscience, they talk about that as well. I mean, those who like science, you know, so science of the mind and science of today's quantum physics, neuroscience, they're all on the same page now, right? So why is gratitude so important? It's because, for example, if you say, I want, what does that mean? It means I don't have. So what will the universe give you? You don't have. If you say I want, it means I don't have. The same way, the body and the universe react the same way. The body believes literally what you say. Oh, I'm getting sick. And the body believes, oh, I'm getting sick. Oh, I'm old. Then the body believes it becomes old. If you say, oh, I have this, and the body doesn't have a distinction. So you have to be so careful what you think, what you say. You know, because you have to channel that through the body. Like with anger, you know, you're channeling that. So you're actually destroying part of the body through anger. And anger is giving absolute power to a destructive emotion. It's actually not convenient at all. It actually makes things much more complicated and hard in the long run. Even though in the short run maybe you think it's going to be beneficial. But actually you're not only harming yourself, you're harming the others. But going back to gratitude. Why is gratitude so important? Because when you're grateful, then you have everything. So whatever you want, you don't need to ask, oh, I want, I don't have, you already have it. So basically, very good meditation in the morning when you wake up. First thing you do, don't pick up your phone, please. Really. That's part of the bad habits we're creating. Because if the first thing you do when you wake up is you pick up the phone, then what are you creating? You're creating a habit, and then the dopamine kicks in, and then for the rest of the day, you're going to be looking for that. You're going to be trying to get that dopamine back. You know that it's an addiction, literally, and it's difficult to recognize because we have the ego protection system, anti-hacking system. So Dharma is a hack, really, to hack through that ego protection system. So anyways, so the mind is always saying, oh, I want, me. So we're programming, we're actually distancing ourselves, and we're doing everything in the contrary way. So we're doing, so for example, we're looking for a result, and we know that to get that result we have to do this. But instead of doing this, we do that. We're doing the opposite of what we're looking for. What we're looking for, to be happy. No, I'm happy. Happiness, and who knows what happiness is, really, right? So basically, not to be unhappy maybe is a little bit more realistic. So we're trying to not be unhappy, but we're doing everything that's going to make us unhappy. And we know it, and we keep doing it. Consciously and subconsciously too. So really, this thing we have to start to reprogram, to understand, to see, to observe, to check. So what is happening there? So when we're grateful, like when you wake up in the morning, instead of picking up the phone, what you do? You can wait 10 minutes at least. I think it's okay, right? 10 minutes you can wait before you pick up the phone. And remember, if you charge the phone, charge it far away from your bed. If there's an emergency phone call, it may happen, so you don't put it in airplane mode, but at least turn off the Wi-Fi. Right? And of course, when you talk on the phone, don't bring it too close here. You can use a speaker, or like that. There's many aspects. Yeah, you can do your own research. But it's important. I think phones can be very harmful, even though they can be very beneficial as well. So you have to have a balance, like in everything in life. Water can give you life, but then if there's too much water, what happens? Tsunami, or your belly can burst. So gratitude. Why is so important? Gratitude in the morning. So first, you wake up in the morning. First thing, gratitude. 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. Thank you. You can start. There's so many things we can be gratitude. So many things we have. We have everything actually. That is a reality. But of course, the system, capitalism. If everybody thought like that, capitalism would collapse, right? So it's not very interesting for the system, but I think for the individual, it's very important. Actually, that's what the Dharma. That's why religions exist. Because it's to empower the individual. That's really the point. Not to disempower the individual, not to give away your power with idealizations and attachments and all this, So when you practice a gratitude meditation in the morning, you're creating that habit for the rest of the day. So you can start with, oh, thank you. I don't know, how many things can you be grateful for? Like, okay, thank you for the roof on my head. Thank you for the bed that I'm sleeping. Thank you for the pillow. Thank you for the body. How many billions of sentient beings are in our body working tirelessly for our benefit? The only time we remember is when we get sick. And so good to remember that every day. Massage your feet a little bit. The feet are working for you every day. Your heart is pumping. Since the 2-week fetus, the heart has already started to pump. Why do you think the logo of love is the heart? It's unconditional love. Just like water. I think water is a great example. Bruce Lee already used to say, water adapts perfectly well. Water always goes back to its origin. However dirty it becomes, it can always go back to its origin, to the pure state, right? And water always offers unconditionally. So pure love, unconditional love. So really, I think water is a great example for us to learn from. And so the gratitude meditation is really the basis for many good things happening in your life. So you be grateful for your body, for everything. You really want to practice compassion, start practicing compassion with yourself, self-compassion. Really. And then your body, have compassion for your body, do some favors for your body. Eat good food, do some exercise, bring that cardiovascular. Don't think this pessimistic, oh me, oh poor me, just making bigger. It's called, Eckhart Tolle talks about it, it's called, what's it called? Cuerpo dolor? Cuerpo dolor, this, what? Pain body, yes. Pain body. So it's a very similar aspect, like, oh, me, and then finally you're actually completely counterproductive. And then everybody around you bring them down as well, So really, many aspects of depression is, if you actually check, it's also the nutrition, exercise, perspective, attitude, also the people you surround yourself with. If you have people who are gaslighting you, it's very difficult. So you have to protect yourself also from toxic people. Sometimes even the toxic people don't know they're gaslighting you, because maybe that's a program they received from their parents or from their peers or whatever it is. There's many different reasons, so you can't really generalize, but you have to really start to, when you have compassion, you start to see the person, how they're suffering, and that's where you can really help. And that's where you neutralize the negative snowball, basically, or energetic snowball. So, and then of course you can be grateful for the food you ate, for the people who cook the food, or if you cook it, you can be grateful for yourself, for the people who planted that, all the animals that died in the process of cutting all the plants. Even the moment your great-great-great-grandfather met your great-great-great-great-grandmother, that moment when they met, be grateful for that moment, because if that moment didn't happen, you wouldn't exist. And like that, wow, you can think about so many things. Just be creative. But if you start to do that, you're creating a pattern in your mind of gratitude. So then suddenly you have everything. So anything you need or want, it's gonna be there. You don't have to ask for it or think of it or say, oh, I don't have, I want. You don't need that. You already have it. So I think that's a great way of becoming a happier person. Being grateful. So unsatisfaction and attachment, where does it come from? From not being grateful, from not being present. What is unsatisfaction? It's not being grateful for what you already have. What is attachment? It's being attached is fear of losing what is not yours. It's pretty ironic, right? So what is yours? Can anybody tell me what is really yours? One example, come.
Your mind.
What is yours? Your mind? Good. What else?
Habits.
Habits, good. What else? Nothing. Ah, interesting. Very profound. What else?
Attitude.
Attitude?
My passport.
What?
My passport.
A passport. Yeah, your inner passport, right?
Well, I like being Australian.
I think you have to face your book and connect to the internet. I'm joking, but it's a good one. So what is really yours? I mean, if you say, oh, my car, my new car, and then next day somebody stole it, you don't have the car anymore. Somebody else is using it. So then was it your car really, if somebody can steal it? Your body, is it yours? Somebody shoots you. That's it, right? You have no more body. So it's not about people stealing your body, but you don't have that power of choosing, The same way, we are obsessed with control, micromanaging, or this or that, but actually we don't even know what's happening inside our body. We have no control inside our body. But somehow, we have this concept, we want to control everything. Even we want to control others. We can't even control our own mind. So unrealistic. So when you have attachment, what happens? Fear of losing what's not yours. So what is really yours? Your karma, your values, your mind stream, your consciousness, right? So all of that you take to the next life. Those are true values. That's the real gold. It's the inner gold. Nobody can steal it from you. When you share it, it multiplies, and you can take it to the next life. How amazing is that? The outside goal. Why is it that people value so much materialism? Because it avoids you to check inside. And it's the easiest path, is not to take responsibility. So Dharma really is saying that. So that's why with the spiritual narcissism happens when you still have the same attitude. Because it's very easy to say, I'm a good person, I'm a Buddhist. But then somebody comes and you think, you have this concept of, I'm superior because I'm Buddhist, or I'm superior because I have their knowledge. But actually, there's many good people everywhere who are not Buddhist. And there's great bodhisattvas in all religions, and siddhis and everything. So, this attachment to my ideas of me, blah, 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 it's not really helpful, beneficial in the long run. It's actually creating more harm than benefit. So that's why check yourself before you wreck yourself. Some people may know where that comes from. Yeah. Okay, more ideas.
We have a question online.
What?
We have a question online.
Oh, you have question? Oh, you live stream. Oh, very good. Very good. Very good.
Yeah, we have 60 people online. So the question is, how do we practice the middle way every day when surrounded by capitalism and disconnection?
Surrounded by what?
Capitalism
Capitalism.
and disconnection.
And disconnection. Where? Inner disconnection, outer disconnection? In general.
I'll wait for her to respond.
In general? It's okay. Okay, can you ask the question again?
Okay, so the question is, how do we practice the middle way every day when surrounded by capitalism and disconnection?
So this is a very interesting concept also. Practice, I will try. You can be trying your whole life. Just do it, right? This concept of trying is just protection, self-ego protection. Try. It's already you're setting yourself up not to do it. If you say try, already very clear sign of the subconscious doesn't want to do. Not the subconscious actually, it's anyways, the mechanism, whatever you want to call it. It's like, for example, very good, I can give you some tools maybe. So instead of using the word problem, you'd switch that problem, that word, to solution. So instead of saying, I have a big problem, you say, I have a big solution. So it's just you're starting to wire your brain differently, your attitude, right? Another word, it's my fault. This also comes from religion. Mea culpa, sin, fault, all these concepts, fear. These are all tools of manipulation. Division, also tools of manipulation. That's why, not to be divided, that's not the real means, So, guilt, also instead of saying, it's my fault, you say it's my responsibility, or it's your responsibility. Instead of saying it's your fault, it's your responsibility. You're switching, you're changing a little bit the wiring of the brain, because everything is connected, the body, the mind, everything is connected, very intrinsically. So, extremes, so instead of saying, what was it? What was the question? Sorry.
The question was, how do we practice the middle way?
The middle way, exactly. Practice. See, again, the way of wiring. Be the middle way. What is this about practicing? You don't practice, you become. You're becoming, you're being, you're happening. If you practice, there's already a disconnect there. What are you going to practice to be? You're going to practice to what? It's already a bit of distance, right? Because the moment you say, okay, I'm, like for example in my case, I'm Osel, then I'm stuck. I am this, it's not realistic. We're happening constantly. We're being, So if you think like that, then you always have the opportunity to create your person, recreate your person. You always have a choice. It's very easy to say, the circumstances, or this person, like, I love examples, right? Like if you have boiling water, and then you put inside the boiling water, you put an egg, the soft egg becomes hard. If you put a potato, the hard potato becomes soft. But the circumstances of the water is exactly the same. It's just very easy to say, the circumstances, it's the fault of this, my childhood, or this and that, or such and such. Actually, you create the circumstances, and you choose how to react to those circumstances. This is really the key Dharma is giving you. Really. So, you have to choose. Every second you choose, and it's never too late, it's never too early. Never too early? Sometimes I talk and then I say, what did I say? Yeah, so be the middle way, right? Not practice the middle way. If you practice the middle way, you can try to do that all your life. So don't practice Dharma. Be the embodiment of Dharma. Be the example. Otherwise you're going to be trying to be the embodiment all life, try, and it's never going to happen. Because you're already creating that distance. Because actually maybe you don't want. Because if you do, then what happens? Then you reach your potential. And then many of us, we are scared of our potential. We're scared of the unknown. Fear is a terrible thing, actually. I mean, unless, of course, you have to decide to fight or flee. survival instinct. For our ancestors, it was a very good tool, but these days it's a little bit misused. And so when you have fear and you make decisions based on fear, sometimes it's not the right decision. Not in all the cases, okay, but sometimes. I mean, you have to apply that to yourself. You can't just generalize, oh, he said this, and then, whoa, and then blame, oh, he said that, now you know, look what happened to my life. Very easy to do that, right? No, you apply it to yourself based on your own concept. It's like the dreams, for example. It's very easy to somebody say to you, oh, I'll interpret your dreams, you know. Maybe that person can interpret their own dreams. But you have to interpret your own dreams. Because the dreams is the way the subconscious is talking to you. You know, so I mean, you have to interpret your own dreams. So anyways, in that way, the same way, you know, if when you read a text or you receive teachings or whatever, some things can apply to you, some things maybe don't apply to you. Some things you recognize, or you identify, you can relate to, something you don't. So don't get frustrated if you can't relate to things or you can't understand things. You know, you just have to filter that out and use what is useful for you. Maybe 10 years later, when you read it again, then you'll make sense because you're at another point in your life. You know, we're all moving constantly. We're changing. You know, so. I mean, the concept of impermanence is very clear, and then suddenly when the Guru passes away, we're all in shock and in tears and so attached. We need the child to come back now, and we have to put the responsibility of a great yogi on the child and force him to sit on a throne so that we are happy. You think that's bodhicitta? No, that's attachment. So my teacher, he passed away 8 years ago. 8? Yeah, almost 8. Yeah, So I actually requested, please, to the main disciple of my teacher, his disciples, and to His Holiness Dalai Lama, please keep anonymous the reincarnation at least until he's 7, so that he can have a normal childhood with his family. I think even the parents didn't know actually. You know, so recently, about maybe 3 weeks ago, finally he turned 7. So then he was recognized in Pokhara. He was born in Pokhara. So then they took him to see His Holiness, he took the Rabjung vows, so now he's in Sera. And was enthroned. So it's very auspicious in that sense, you know, because at least the scientists, they talk about it, you know, the child's brain until 7, it's still becoming, what do you call it? Desarrollándose. Developing. Oh, you speak Spanish, huh? It's developing, so the child's brain is developing until 7. Once it's 7, it's developed completely. You need that. I never had any emotional stability. I don't have any emotional connections with anybody, not even my parents. I regard myself as an orphan. So really, the only person I really had a strong emotional connection to was my teacher who passed away. You know, he was like my father, like my mother. Every day, he was the only stable person in my whole childhood. Everybody else was coming, going. It was like a curriculum. Oh, I'm Osel's attendant, Lama Osel's attendant, whatever. And then they go coming, because also I was a quite difficult child. I was a total absolute rebel. Thank God. You know, but what? Oh, don't we have until 12? I thought we could go to 12. Was it 10 to 12 or 10? You said 2 hours, no? Oh, okay. Now I lost what I was talking about. Okay, what was I talking about? My son. So my son, I see him and I say, oh, you know, they could never make him Tuku. Actually, I was a rebel, but I was a very good child. And my son, they could never make Tuku. Because he's a total rebel, absolute rebel. So anyways, son. Yeah, and actually Geshe-la, what he's saying, in Spanish you say the tal palo tal astilla. From such a stick, such a splinter. Right, so I don't know if I'm so good actually. Apparently, it looks like it. But anyway, so yeah, so my teacher, so now he's 7 years old, so it's, you know, at least, you know, according to the tradition, and then he'll receive the education, you know. But I really think if you take a child 2 years old, it can be very dangerous for the child. You know, so I really hope they don't do that with Lama Subramania's reincarnation. You know, immediately everybody's so attached. Please, Guru, come back. Me, you know, like. It's not about that, you know. It's really about the benefit that the Guru creates, you know, and then to rejoice, you know, of all the. Remember Lama Subramania for 40 years. He was so, you know, hard, you know, working so hard for all sentient beings, his vision goes thousands of years from now. We don't understand. Our ideas are very conventional. We don't understand. Even if we think we do, we don't. So really, we're so lucky. And instead of being grateful for all of that, we immediately, the moment Rinpoche passes away, already not even 2 days have gone. Already we want, oh, please come back now. We want you now to please come back now. And so we really have to understand this concept. Like differentiate a little bit. Rinpoche gave us all the tools inside, the gurus inside, So of course the reincarnation will come back and it'll be so beneficial, but we also have to respect nature and evolution, A child needs to be with the family, at least till 7, minimum. So this is my request, if anybody's listening. Don't be so selfish. Children are innocent and they have to be protected. And that's one of my jobs, is to protect. So, anyways. So we have to wrap up, yeah? Okay, so, one last question maybe? I think you had one? No? Oh, Gisela. So Gisela's question is when I'm coming back. So actually, Gisela already and Kevin, our new director, already invited me to come for the 50th anniversary. It's in September next year, so already I said yes. So if this body is still functioning and my lungs, the air is coming in and out in the temple of my life, then I'll be here. Okay, and if the plane doesn't crash and all this different circumstances. So anyway, so I'm here now. But I'm very, very happy, so happy. Actually, I wanted to start the conversation like that, but I forgot. So really, Chenrezig Gompa for me is a very, very special place. Also because of my history. When Lama Yeshe passed away, they took the ashes of Lama Yeshe to 3 different centers. One is Kopan, another one is Mahamudra Center, another one is Chenrezig Gompa. It's Chenrezig Institute. The Gompa is coming soon. Already is here actually. This is the second new Gompa, and now the 3rd one is coming, so it's very auspicious. And so I feel a very strong connection with Chenrezig Gompa, and it's been 34 years last time I was here. No, 35 years. No, yeah, 35. I was 3 years the last time I was here. Oh, I was 5 years? Oh, 5. Oh, the second time was 5. 5. So I think that's when I remember that was 5. So 33 years. 33 years. So next time will be shorter. So thank you so much for coming. So short notice. Thank you so much for trusting me. Thank you so much for being your authentic self. And there's a lot of work to do, but always look back at all the work you've already done. So don't despair. And always try to have a kind heart, to be humble. The true values are inside. So as long as you focus on that, everything outside will fall in place, and everybody will love you and care. Really, if 2 people are fighting, even if you're right, you can say sorry. So then the other person comes down, gets off his donkey, and also. And then they're like, oh, maybe. So you give the opportunity for the other person to say sorry. Also, oh, actually, maybe it's my mistake. But if you're fighting, no, I'm right. The other person is also. You always, go higher, both on the donkeys. Then so no result. So in that aspect, I think it's important in the community, to always have that love. So if you love yourself, you respect yourself, you have patience with yourself, you can apply that. That's Dharma. That's a true Buddhist. And just because you do initiations, do prostration, doesn't mean you're a Buddhist, okay? It's a complementary aspect. In Tibetan we say Tap Sharab Ngejung was the wisdom with the, what do you call it? The wisdom, the method, and the renunciation, right? But it has complementary. So it's just like a bulb, a light bulb, If you don't have electricity, the bulb is useless. If you have only the bulb, no electricity, also useless, right? So you have both things have to complement each other. So try to keep a balance in that way. Okay, thank you so much, and sorry for the time. Actually, we are on time, 11:30. Perfect. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Just a reminder, if you'd like to learn more, there's the one-big-love.com. There is habitalignmentkey.org. There is the globaltreeinitiative.org. And on YouTube, you can find the Clear Light channel.
Plant Crusade.
Plant Crusade, pardon me. So that is, if you'd like to learn more. And Calvin will take it from here.
If you turn off.
So very grateful also for turning up short notice. We're still buzzing.
Short notice or long notice? 33 years.
Well, if you put it that way, yes, absolutely. But yeah, I think everyone's still buzzing in disbelief that you're here. They waited 30-something years for you to come back.
It's always now, right?
Yeah. And Geshe-la has been waiting for this moment for a long time, I'm sure. Yeah.
We know each other from the monastery. Way
That's
back,
right.
we go way back. Our history goes way back.
Yeah.
As a child.
So without further ado, you got a very tight schedule. We got a flight to catch, just enough time to have lunch, and you would like to see Lama Yeshe's stupa. So that's why we need to constrict the time. So on behalf of Chenrezig Institute and everyone here and everyone on Zoom, once again, thank you to you and your team. It's been marvelous to have you here for the last 48 hours, and look forward to having you again. And please surprise us again.
I like my teachers. What's your name? Tudempende. What's your Western name?
Western can order.
Yeah, you sound very familiar.
Yeah, we hosted you in Brisbane when you were 2.
No wonder, right?
I can show you all the photos.
Yeah, send them to me. Get his number. We have to stay. So Tudempende, you say? What's your name? Tudempende. Tudempende and Gindichambe. Thank you. And what's your name? One more what? So and yours? Tenzin. And yours? And yours? What? Oh, Yeshe Omar. I heard Geshe Omar.